Well, we're now getting reports of an Israeli airstrike that's hit a car on a highway just outside the Lebanese capital, Beirut. The Israeli military says it was targeting a saboteur who was involved in arms smuggling and advancing terrorist plots. We'll have the Israeli reaction shortly. Hamdah Salhut is standing by in Amman for us. But first, let's speak to Zeina Khodr. She's at the scene of the attack, as we were saying, just outside of Beirut. Zeina, talk us through the significance of this strike. Do we actually know who they were targeting?
Well, we are at the scene of that strike. If you can see behind me, that is the vehicle that was targeted. We are at the southern entrance of the Lebanese capital, Beirut, along a main highway. That Israeli drone strike, that apparent Israeli drone strike happening during rush hour while cars and people were making their way from Beirut towards southern areas. The Israeli army is saying that they targeted someone who was involved in arms smuggling and someone who was affiliated with Iran's Quds force. We do not have any independent confirmation, but the Lebanese health ministry says at least one person was killed in that vehicle. Forensic teams have arrived. These attacks are quite common, despite the fact that there's a ceasefire in place since late November that put an end to hostilities between Hezbollah and Israel. But Israel carries out these strikes, most of them in southern Lebanon. But you have those occasional strikes in and around Beirut, which really shows you that there is no front line. And this conflict between Israel and Hezbollah is far from over. And Israel also acting with little restraint. The Lebanese state want these attacks to stop, but the state has little leverage. Hezbollah too, if it does respond, it could trigger a harsh Israeli retaliation. So the Lebanese state is relying on diplomacy and relying on the help, if you like, according to the foreign minister, of the United States, because the United States is, they believe, the Lebanese state believes, is the only power that can force Israel to stop these attacks. But the United States has put conditions on the table, and that is the full disarmament of Hezbollah. And the U.S. envoy is expected in Beirut to hear from the Lebanese authorities on whether they're going to do that. So really, Lebanon is at a crossroads. This conflict, yes, we don't see this wide-scale Israeli bombardment like we saw last year, targeting areas where Hezbollah has influence, but we see these attacks happening almost on a daily basis.
Zeina Khodr, who's at the scene of that very recent attack for us just outside Beirut. Thank you very much, Zeina. Well, let's now cross to Hamdah Salhut in the Jordanian capital, Amman. She's there because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank. Hamdah, what more are you now hearing from the Israelis about what's happened here?
The Israeli military releasing a statement confirming the strike on a vehicle just outside of the Lebanese capital, Beirut, saying that this was an individual who was smuggling weapons on behalf of the Quds force as part of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Of course, the military is making these claims but not providing any evidence of it. The military has frequently conducted attacks in Lebanon since there was a ceasefire with Hezbollah. In fact, the most latest of those attacks was just under a week ago on Saturday. But the military has also said previously, along with Israeli officials, the defense minister and the prime minister, who have said that they would act in any way, shape or form if they felt they were under any sort of threat. They said that they were going to constantly be what they say is enforcing the ceasefire against Iran. And the prime minister and his defense minister, Israel Katz, have said that they would target not just Iranian officials, but Iranian military personnel wherever they are across the region if they felt, again, that they were under any sort of threat. But it's still unclear exactly who the individual is and why the Israeli military chose to conduct this attack in broad daylight while there were a lot of other vehicles around on a pretty busy highway. But the army is saying that this person was involved in weapons smuggling, but again, no sort of information given by the military to back that up.
Hamdah Salhut there with the latest for us from the Jordanian capital, Amman. Thank you, Hamdah.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.